my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beautiful people, to your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on SABC3. Now, when you hear that sound, you know it's time for tech news. Now, the emergency and rapid spread of the coronavirus has caused worry from both the man on the street and governments. But what effect has the disease had on technology, and how can tech help us fight back against its spread? Now, friend in tech, Bryan Smith, is here to help us unpack this. Morning, Bryan. Sorry for not greeting you already. I just wanted to get right into it because, I mean, we've seen what it's done globally, but now with regard to tech, how is the coronavirus affecting technology and the production of devices in today's day and age?
Absolutely, and for many technology companies, notwithstanding obviously the human and emotional impact of this virus that it's causing in the news, this is going to be a really interesting financial year, given that many of the manufacturing and production centers that produce the range of smart devices we use in our daily lives, from smartphones to tablets, computers, and then TV screens, are actually located in China, and then again in and around Wuhan and cities like Shenzhen in China itself. Unfortunately, many of the precautions that have had to be made here is companies have to slow the production of their devices, or those centers themselves have been shut down entirely. And what that really creates is obviously a backlog of devices, but for the next crop of smart devices released within the next 1 to 2 years, we're definitely going to see an impact in terms of how technology companies can ship, produce, and then how those devices will reach consumers from store shelves.
Absolutely. I mean, we have read reports about how now the coronavirus has also been detected in Africa, so it's spreading globally 100%. How has technology companies, considering that we travel internationally, we are consumers of these, technological innovations, etc., how have tech companies played it safe to kind of protect their consumers from this coronavirus?
So one of the really interesting things about the technology industry is that despite the fact that much of the work happens online, and many telecommutes might happen between installations or infrastructure such as Skype or voice, it's actually hugely responsible for a large part of global travel. And much of that happens around the idea of conferences, around trade meetings. So for example, one of the first early casualties of technology, or the effect of the coronavirus on technology, was actually Mobile World Congress. And that's the event each year in Spain, Barcelona. It usually happens in February, where we see the latest and greatest technology handsets, consumer technology devices such as smartphones released. And many different companies actually then pulled out of this event, leading it to being cancelled altogether. Facebook's own F8 conference, which is where it sort of unveils its latest and greatest features that will be heading to the market within the next year, has also now just been cancelled as well. So technology companies are sort of repositioning the way they organize gatherings, the way they collaborate with people in different countries, and then again how they actually unveil those features as well.
Now, what are technology companies putting in place? What measures are being taken to fight back against the coronavirus?
Absolutely. So one of the most important and perhaps necessary advents for technology companies to work on, and then again governments as well using technology, is of course a vaccine. Unfortunately, there hasn't been one developed yet, but the Chinese government is actually using a mix of artificial and intelligence and machine learning to develop one. Some really interesting technologies are also being used to sort of control the spread of the virus in sort of managing quarantines. The Chinese government has actually used a mixture of artificial intelligence and CCTV cameras to monitor sort of the spread and effects of this virus in real time. And then again, there are some really interesting applications, such as using drones to spread disinfectant in city centres, in streets, to make sure that we can control the spread of this virus as easily as possible.
Very, very interesting. Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bryan Smith, you're our friend in tech here, but you can also connect with him at bandwidthblog.com. But of course, if you do have any other tech stories that interest you and you want to get in on the conversation, head on over to our social media platforms, Expresso Morning Show, SABC3, and let us know what is happening.